Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge, brought to you by EV Geek Studios. As always, I am Sebastian. He is Joel. Today is July 24th, 2026, and we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Ford. We're going to talk about Apple. We're going to talk about Subaru, GM, ChargePoint, Ford again, and there's some more stuff in here. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, our first topic of the night, which is one I just kind of thought was cool. Ford picks Apple. Ford this week announced that they would be using Apple Maps for the native... Start that sentence over again. Ford this week announced that they would be using Apple Maps for the native navigation on its upcoming Universal EV platform. Ford will be using Apple's new Map Kit for Automotive SDK, which will allow the vehicle to natively run Apple Maps, no cell phone required. This includes turn-by-turn navigation, EV route planning, battery preconditioning, etc. Ford has also announced that they'll be able to use the Apple Maps data directly with its BlueCruise system for the hands-free driving and whatever else. Ford and Apple's press release on this matter also reiterated that CarPlay will continue to be available on their vehicles, including the new UEV platform. So don't have a ton of notes here because, this is still very early days, whatever, but I think Ford might be the first automaker that's doing the Apple Maps Automotive SDK business, which I thought was neat. We've seen automakers use Google Maps built in, obviously, on the Android Automotive cars, but even on cars that aren't Android Automotive, Google Maps has had an SDK available for a while, or using Google Maps for like waypoints and whatever. For example, if I remember right, the CC&C cars will use Google Maps for the waypoints and like importing destinations and things like that, even though they're not using Google Maps for the actual navigation component. So cool to see that, Ford's the first one to do this with Apple Maps. Apple Maps is legitimately, I think, the prettiest of the map apps. And from what I've used in the past, it does a pretty dang good job at navigation as well. It'll be very curious. I've seen a lot of very mixed comments about the feelings towards Apple Maps EV routing. And it'll be interesting to see if this is any better or, is it still just a mixed bag? And then because, this is directly integrated with a vehicle, so it should have access to all of the data it could ever possibly want. That said, does it have that much more access to data that you don't get already on Apple Maps EV routing through CarPlay? I don't know. But anyway, just thought this was cool. And again, they are keeping CarPlay. So you can use the built-in Apple Maps. You can plug your phone in and use your phone's Apple Maps. It sounds like Ford won't care.
I'm assuming this will integrate seamlessly with BlueCruise?
Yeah, that's what they claim. They claim they'll be able to use the mapping data for BlueCruise, and so to provide like lane centering and whatever else on mapped highways.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. If you have trouble building your own software, at least you're relying on a reliable company to help do it for you when it comes to navigation and mapping. So it makes sense. They're already out there. People are using Google Maps. So why not someone use Apple Maps to help with navigation, help with EV charging? It seems like a win-win situation for everyone. I don't know why reviews would be mixed, but it just seems like a win-win situation for everyone. So,
well, the main things that are mixed are just Apple's EV route planning so far has not been stellar.
Gotcha.
And so the question is, will the EV route planning on Apple Maps native be better than what you get currently in CarPlay? And if it is better, why? Why is it better?
Makes sense. Makes sense. That's a legitimate question. Don't know if maybe Apple and Ford are doing some collaboration in the background, or is Ford just saying, hey, it's yours, do what you want with it. So interesting to see. I'll be excited to test it out whenever these cars start rolling out, whenever they start rolling out.
If and when, yeah.
If and when, yes.
Subaru has confirmed that they are delaying their 3-row EV. After Toyota last week announced that they would be delaying the upcoming Highlander EV, Subaru has confirmed that they too are delaying the upcoming Getaway EV. Now, this is not a surprise. The Getaway and Highlander are built on the exact same platform, on the exact same factory, etc. Obviously, this was coming, but now Subaru has officially announced it. Subaru, interestingly, gave the exact same reason that Toyota gave for the delay, quote, to allow sufficient time for final adjustments before launch, end quote. However, Subaru did say that they are expecting an at least 8-week delay to the start of production, which is more information than we got out of Toyota last time. It was just like, oh, we're delaying it. Now Subaru's actually kind of giving a timeline. And this is just interesting. We speculated some last week that Toyota would be delaying it so they could try to pump as much money out of the current Highlander models before they switch to the all EV version. But as we discussed last week, the Getaway isn't replacing anything. It's its own dedicated product line. It's, the 3-row Ascent is still sticking around. So obviously this is delayed because Toyota's delaying theirs, and so they're not going to start production on one car in the Toyota factory without starting production on both cars because they're going to be built side by side, whatever. But it's interesting to see how this, does Toyota's delay end up hurting Subaru more or less, or how does it actually shake out and play?
So yeah, what I'm curious to know is, built on the same. I mean, like you said, we kind of saw this happening. I don't see this car hitting dealerships until 2027. I mean, I don't think we're going to see it anytime. I don't see it. They said late 2026. It'll probably be spring 2027. But I understand is, how is the Subaru able to get more power and more range than the Highlander out of this? What do you think?
Probably just motor tuning,
and all that. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was cool. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, Subaru doesn't. This is not replacing a Subaru car, so it's not like Toyota where they're trying to milk all the money they can out of their current Highlanders. It's not replacing a Subaru car, and I mean, so I think Subaru's just kind of being told what to do by Toyota, and they're like, okay, whatever you say. So
it's like, what are we going to do? Fight back?
They're going to say no. So yeah, it's delayed. I'm just glad they're actually moving forward with more EVs, even if they are a little bit delayed. So
yeah.
Yep.
All right. GM and ChargePoint add plug-in charge. GM recently unveiled their new Energy Pass, which we talked about a few weeks ago. It's a rebrand of kind of the company's existing EV routing payment system inside the My Brand app. So for those who aren't familiar with GM space, all the GM apps are exactly the same. It's just my whatever brand of car you own. So My Brand instead of saying my Chevrolet, my GMC, my Cadillac, etc. I only go through this long explanation now because I'm going to say it again later. But this rebrand, reroute, whatever, has gotten better with Energy Pass. GM through Energy Pass is now supporting plug-in charge at ChargePoint. And perhaps even more impressively, this feature seems to be supported fleet-wide, not just on the newer Ultium EVs. For example, I was able to set it up on my 2019 Chevy Bolt. I have not tested it on a ChargePoint unit yet, but I do know that plug-in charge through the Energy Pass software or Energy Pass feature on Iona does indeed work on my 2019 Bolt. This means now within Energy Pass, you can set up plug-in charge for ChargePoint, Iona, EVgo, and EV Connect. And while plug-in charge isn't yet supported on EA or Tesla, you can use the Energy Pass feature inside the My Brand apps to activate your sessions at those on those networks and pay for it through the Chevrolet or whatever app, which is cool. And I mean, this really is just kudos to them for adding plug-in charge and supporting their old EVs and their new EVs at the same time, not just leaving the new ones in the dust like some companies, Hyundai. Well, I'm still waiting on plug-in charge for the Ioniq 5 that I have that was, supposed to have plug-in charge allegedly, and then they just never rolled it out. But then the CC&C cars got plug-in charge, and I just want my plug-in charge, dang it. Please. Somewhere.
Give the man his plug-in charge.
Please. Anyway, so I mean, kudos to GM for adding this and for supporting their old EVs on it. And I mean, really, this is just ultimately is like, even if me personally, I kind of find the GM's apps a little clunky, this is still preferable to having 17 charging apps installed on my phone.
Agreed.
Now Iona is one of those networks where it's like you don't need an app to activate, just period. You can just swipe your credit card reader and it generally will work fine and no big deal. Or you can activate it with whatever vehicle app you have, or you can even activate it with like the ChargePoint app, and I'm sure they roam with other partners too. But being able to do plug-in charge literally means you just plug in the car
and charge.
That's it, because your payment information, GM has your payment information already. So they, as long as you have an OnStar account and you have your payment info on file, boom, they bill your payment. You're done. And so I mean, ChargePoint is generally a pretty easy system to activate. I know you're probably going to go into your story here in a minute, but generally speaking, as long as you've set the ChargePoint app up and you have, say, the ChargePoint card in your Apple Wallet, or you're like me and you're old school and you still carry a physical RFID ChargePoint card, you just swipe it and you're done. Like, it's pretty easy, but plug and charge is literally brainless. But
it operates like Tesla's.
Yeah. But I mean, less apps is a good thing, because Joel, talk about your ChargePoint experience, your most recent one.
So I was down in Hot Springs for a week for my other job and spending the night down there, and just driving around and all that. I needed some charge. I started with like 60%. I didn't even charge with a full charge. So just driving around, doing some stuff, come back. I needed to charge for 5 or 6 minutes. Could have charged at the hotel, because I know JT's was down there and I wanted to get JT some business. So I went over to Franklin Charging. Great little location, not very far from where you are. And so I opened up the app, and I guess I hadn't used it in a while, or my phone updated, and I was logged out. And Apple didn't have my stuff saved, so didn't know my password. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to create a new account and log in with Apple. Just simple as that. Logged in with Apple, had to add a credit card because it didn't have a credit card added. Add a credit card. Hot Springs is notorious, if you're AT&T, horrible 5G coverage down there. So I'm popping between 1 and 2 bars. I'm kind of walking around Franklin's holding my phone there like I'm an idiot, trying to get some charge. Finally did, but honestly probably wasted 10 minutes while I was there trying to do that. When I just wish we could have I don't have the RFID reader like you do, the little charge bar thing that you carry around in your wallet. I did have the ChargePoint app on my wallet, in my Apple Wallet, but it was on an old credit card that had expired, and that's what I was trying to fumble with first. Look at that little Kroger card you have there. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, this is, and it's nothing wrong with the charging station itself. It's just the software. Charging station was fine. It's covered, everything, no problems there. It's just the software. It was clunky. And I'm like, if I'm getting frustrated after 10 minutes, and I've been doing this for 5 years, I can't imagine someone pulling in here for the first time having to do this. So I mean, at some point we got to get rid of all the apps for charging. 1 app, 2 apps, or just have card readers at these things like a gas station. You just tap and pay and you go, like Iona has, like Electrify America has, and how Pilot Flying J has. All of them have like that. So it's just, we got to get to the point to where it's just got to be, you got to make it simpler to charge.
You have plug and go, or you at least
have you used these GM Energy ChargePoint chargers in your experience, or not much?
So I've not done the ChargePoint plug and charge yet, but I have used the plug and charge at Iona, and I have used the My Brand app, or my Chevrolet app, to activate Iona on my Ioniq 5, because sessions activated through the GM apps at Iona get a 10% discount.
Oh, that's right.
And it works, and it applies no matter what you're actually charging, as long as you activate it through the My Brand apps. So even though I was charging my Ioniq 5 at Iona that one time, I got a 10% discount because I activated it using the GM app versus using my credit card or paying for it through other ways. I think Hyundai's adding Iona to the app finally. One of the founding partners, but it took them this long to add it to an app.
I'll let you know if it ever comes to Kia.
Yeah, Hyundai, please. Plug and charge. I'm going to beat this horse. Give me plug and charge. Now, I did think it was interesting. So you were talking about you struggled, activating ChargePoint app.
Yes.
With Hyundai, we have, which this probably exists in Kia land, and I just don't know what it's called, or it's called Kia Pay. But, Hyundai, there's Hyundai Pay, and it's in the infotainment system. And whenever I pull up to, or if I'm navigating to a charger, if I pull up to a station that supports it, it pops up on the screen and asks me, do you want to use Hyundai Pay at this station? And I can hit yes, and then go plug in the car, and then it does all the authentication that way. So it's not plug and charge, but at least it's kind of integrated, but also it's very, only works on certain networks, and things have to be in the navigation just right for it to pop up and prompt, and just things like that. But anyway, I'd be curious to know if that feature exists in Kia land, and if it does, what do they call it? Because I tried to Google and I kept finding European Union stuff, but not United States stuff. But again, these cars are the same. It's the same software stack. It's the same. How would you not have, how would Kia not have that feature? But yeah, they just need to, Hyundai, please, plug and charge. Please, please, please. The CC&C cars have it. Please give it to us Gen 5W people. Please. All right, you ready to move on?
That's I think we've kind of tackled that subject.
Did I beat that dead horse enough?
You
Plug
just
and charge,
but
please.
but now what you need to do is you need to head to Franklin Charging and plug and charge, see if it works.
Yeah, and I have to take the Bolt because plug and charge. Hyundai, please.
Take the Bolt. You don't drive the Bolt much anymore. Take the Bolt.
No, I don't. My wife won't give it. My wife loves it too much.
Yeah. Got a lot of stickers on it now, I saw. So
It does have a lot of stickers on it now.
a lot of stickers on it.
There's a new way to use your Lightning for vehicle to home. Ford this week announced a new way to export power from your F-150, Power Boost, or Lightning, does apply to both, to your house. And this time it's in a way that doesn't require the super expensive Sunrun DC inverter system or by installing a generator outlet and transfer switch subpanel, usually. This new product is developed with Global Power Products and is being called Generlink. So basically, the Generlink sits between your electrical meter and the panel and features basically kind of a special cord that you plug in and then you run, and then it plugs into the Pro Power out, the 240 volt output on your truck in the bed. So it lives behind your vehicle's inverter, not before like the Sunrun system. And so you're just AC from the truck to the house. By doing this, Ford claims that you could power your entire home for up to 3 days, although I would assume probably longer than that if you're being conservative with your energy usage, but I'm no mathematician.
Yep.
But like you might have noticed earlier, I mentioned it's like instead of a transfer switch and subpanel, usually. So it's supposed to be a very cost-effective install, right? The unit's around $1,000. Yep. However, it's $1,000, and the cheapest way to install it is if you can literally just put it directly by the meter, like they show in that video there, where the meter just now sticks a little further out from your box, and there's a little the ring behind it that you plug into there. Generlink states that there's 800 utilities in the United States that have approved this installation method. But if you live and operate with a utility company that has not approved it, then you have to install a subpanel and then put the Generlink on the subpanel and do the whole transfer switch thing and just, that whole situation, which makes the installation much, much more expensive. Before you ask, Joel, Entergy does not support the meter installation yet. So if you are an Entergy customer, you have to do the whole subpanel thing until Entergy changes their mind. Surprisingly, North Little Rock Power does support it, but you are First Electric, and First Electric actually takes it even a step further. You could actually buy this product from First Electric. And then First Electric will install it for you, and First Electric will allow you to divide the cost over 12 months and just add it to your bill.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if we have any Ford F-150 Lightning owners who use First Electric around the state, there you go. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like this little demo. I like this little demo here. It's really cool the demo we got playing here. And
yeah. One thing I'm not 100% sure of, I'm assuming you probably can't use this if you have an existing like solar setup or anything like that.
Yeah.
Since you'd be handling like 2 inputs instead of 1. Although I guess it's not really any different than getting an input from the utility. And I don't know. I didn't see any mention of if you could use this in conjunction with a solar system, but I guess now that I'm saying it out loud, it's just 240 volt power.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already getting 240 volt from the grid and solar at the same time. So I guess it just makes the setup probably more complicated and probably makes it more expensive.
Yep.
But you, in theory, could do it. Is my assumption.
Theory-wise, you could, yeah. But not really practical, I guess.
Yeah. Unless it's like you, for example, where if you had a Lightning, you have solar, but you don't have battery.
Yep.
So if you were using solar like during the day and then wanted to plug in your truck at night to power when you don't have solar generation, maybe then that would be a use case. But I don't know.
Yeah, but my box to my garage is 80 feet, so I don't think
just get a long cord.
I don't think the wife in the neighborhood would like a big old yellow cord strung across the front of my house.
I mean, if there's no power, there's
if there's no power, I mean, I could be the house everyone wants to come to. So yeah,
exactly.
Maybe they won't care.
Yeah. Moving on, a little rapid fire topics. Volvo's EX60 goes further than expected. Volvo this week announced that the EX60, specifically the P10 variant, goes a little longer or a little further than they expected before it needs to be charged again. Its official EPA rated range is 330 miles. This is up from Volvo's original 322 mile manufacturer estimate. Volvo also announced the entry-level P6 model's EPA range is 307 miles. They have not yet announced the EPA range of the P12 model, but that's the one they're estimating Volvo is at 400 miles. So we'll see if it's above or below once it gets EPA tested. I didn't have a ton more notes on this. Just happy to see that it is officially a 300-mile car in all variants. Again, I would expect it to be in 2026. It's a luxury EV. That's like $60,000. I would expect at this point, if you're spending that much money, you will get 300 miles of range at minimum. But yeah, also this thing just looks so good. This is such a good looking car.
It does. I mean, it just look at that. It just looks good. I mean, it looks like a Volvo. Should. I mean, look at the inside pictures. I have some specs down here for pricing. We kind of zoom in here. I mean, that just looks sharp.
Yeah.
That minimalistic, Scandinavian kind of feel to it. It just looks good, And, I think these are getting ready to come out here. Hopefully in the next few months, maybe we'll get to drive one. Our Volvo dealership seems to get one or two of these in pretty quick. So, excited that we have another 3-row EV on the market.
For sure. Second rapid fire topic. Pilot has opened its 300th charging location, technically 301st. And of those 301 stations that have opened in the US, 50 of those opened in the first half of 2026. This brings the total number of ports that Pilot operates to right around 1,300 ports. As a reminder, Pilot, GM Energy, and EVgo entered their partnership in 2022, with their first locations opening in late 2023. And Pilot's original goal was 500 stores. So they're on track, it looks like, to maybe meet that goal or exceed it. Now we just have to work on Pilot to see if they'll ever make these things more affordable to use.
Oh, Lord.
Because, I'll give it to them. Pilot generally has decent amenities. There's usually a food option. They have bathrooms. You can get snacks, all those things. They've put canopies above a lot of these units. Like, they do a lot of stuff to do it right. A lot of them are either pull through or kind of a quasi pull through design where, yes, there is a curb, but the unit is set back or set kind of towards the middle of the parking spot. So you can pull in straight, you can back in, whatever you need to do, and you'll probably be able to reach. Each unit has 2 ports. You can use one and get full power, 350 kilowatts, or if 2 cars are there, they'll split power between the 2 ports. They're doing a lot of the stuff right, but then they're also one of the most expensive options.
Yeah, you look at Iona and you're getting sometimes 40 cents a kilowatt, 42 cents a kilowatt where we live, and then they offer the specials where it's, dirt cheap or on certain holidays. Yeah, I was, and that's one of the things I mentioned on our road trip video. I was shocked at how many coming through Alabama and Georgia, and also in South Carolina, how many of these Flying J stations where I was seeing on board that said Pilot Flying J EV charging at the blue signs at the exit. Shocked how many they were rolling out. Agreed, they need to work on pricing. I believe we have 4 here in Arkansas, kind of in all the corners of the state. With one in Central, and then you have Northwest, Southwest, and then over Southeast, Northeast, and then Northwest, and then West Memphis.
Nothing in Southeast.
Cardinal direction, nothing but flat farmland in Southeast. So yeah, nothing down there. Not even a lot of level 2 chargers down there. Yeah. And yes, we've been hearing that for a while. It's a dead zone. But yeah, kudos to them. We just need to work on getting that pricing down. When we stopped, that was great. They had 4. Most of these have 4 stalls, which makes sense if you're saying, 300 locations and 1,500 stalls. That's about 3 to 4 stalls per place.
Or
but
ports,
the one we stopped, ports. Me and the one we stopped at had Arby's. It had pizza. It had plenty of room. Had picnic tables outside to sit at. So yeah, it's a nice stop. It's a nice safe stop that's open 24 hours.
Yeah, it's just also 70 to 80 cents a kilowatt hour, which is
it's double what you pay most other places. Yeah, we're talking double, y'all. If you're not a rabid, DC fast charging person, prices are roughly mid 30s to high 40s, cent per kilowatt hour. Would you say that's about right?
Although you have CPOs like Tesla that have started increasing their non-Tesla rates to be more expensive than other networks. And then you have, you were mentioning, Iona that is coming in and being pretty cheap. And you have Walmart coming in and they're pretty cheap. Yep. EA has been pretty consistent. If you have Pass Plus, it's in the 40 cents usually. Yep. Which the Pass Plus membership, honestly, it's a membership. It's $7 or $8 a month. But if you do the math on it saving you like 15 cents a kilowatt hour, it doesn't take long before it's paid for itself.
Yeah, I mean, the EA I stopped at a Buc-ee's was 39 cents. It was the EA Buc-ee's special. You got 39 cents charging. So, pretty cool. Like I said, this is the year of us expanding DC fast charging to where it doesn't have to be so ambiguous to where you don't have to worry about it anymore. I would say this is the first cross-country trip that I took that I wasn't worried about where I was going to charge, and because they were everywhere. They were every 30 miles easily, multiple exits, sometimes had multiple charging, which made it easier.
Right. All right. And our last topic is one that you've already covered a little bit this week on a mini charge episode. Let's talk about the Corolla EV, because this whole story and situation was interesting to me. Toyota had a documentary crew and was weirdly open to the documentary crew, and the documentary crew was allowed to publish these weirdly open statements.
It's weird because
very weird from a Japanese automaker.
Coming from that part of the country, stuff is usually kept tight-lipped. But yes, this Japanese TV, they aired a 50-minute behind-the-scenes documentary about when Toyota was announcing or talking about their Corolla EV. So they kind of got a top-secret tour of their R&D center. They got to show you some prototypes, and we'll kind of pop up on the screen here what that looks like here. Let me share my screen here, show you what that looks like. Hopefully I don't stop the recording like I did before when I did that. I'm known to do that. A lot of
it's your signature move.
It's my signature move. Just instead of hitting stop share, I hit stop recording. So here we go here, and we should be sharing here now. So this is an article. So that's what it looks like. I mean, that's a pretty it's got Prius vibes to it, but it's a pretty sharp looking EV, you know. But the interesting part was when they were talking to the crew, you know, they had Akio Toyota there, who's the chairman. They had CEO Koji Saito there, and they were talking about this is going to be a great new high-tech car, which is awesome because love Toyota, not known for their tech features. You know, they're known to build reliable cars that get you from one place to the other, and they last forever. But they were talking to him, and they were kind of talking about, you know, why all of a sudden this kind of EV excitement. And he said, that was CEO Koji Saito, I think we're losing to China, which kind of made it kind of shocking that you had one of the top automakers in the world, or maybe the top automaker in the world, kind of just blatantly admit we're losing to China. I mean, kind of everybody knew that, but just to hear them say it out loud. And we've heard John Farley from Ford say Chinese are making amazing EVs right now. I mean, so it's just weird. That was the first weird part. The second weird part is they're doing this whole compromise platform, a one-size-fits-all approach with the Corolla EV. So it's going to be the Corolla EV. It's going to be the Corolla gas. It's going to be the Corolla hybrid. It's going to be the Corolla plug-in hybrid, all in one kind of approach, which is not something you usually see from new automakers. You see these new automakers kind of use this skateboard approach where, you know, the floors are flat, lots of leg room. You can push those wheels far out as you want to get as much space as you can. So my question is, do you give up some stuff? Do you give up aerodynamics? Do you have to use smaller batteries because you can't fit them all where you need to do? Do you lose interior space? Does the car have extra weight? But they kind of said something which us in the EV world kind of already knew. Almost everyone is losing to China right now, which is why we don't allow their cars to come into the US. I mean, so yeah. I mean, if you have any, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it's weird that they would just. We had the same conversation about Honda, right? It was very odd. You know, they canceled their whole EV program. It seems like, and they were very open and upfront. It's like, we can't compete, which is a weird level of transparency you don't usually get from automakers. But like in Toyota's case here, it's like you can't be surprised that you can't compete. Because which this might have been the right decision for your company, right? Fiscally responsible, whatever.
For your bottom line, yep.
This might have been the right decision for the bottom line, but you were very slow and cautious on the initial EV rollout. And your first EV that you mass marketed, your BZ4X, was just not very good.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't
compliance car.
It was compliance car level, like just, it was a car. It didn't do a lot of the EV stuff very well. It kind of had a bad reputation for pitifully slow charging, having weird thermal issues, not being a car you can drive in the winter, just, things in that vein, it didn't get a good reputation. Now they seem to kind of been turning it around. Like the new BZ seems like it's a solidly competent car. The new RZ is pretty competent. The ES is competent. Like the CHR, we've driven the Subaru twins, so the Solterra and the CHR and the Trailseeker, all of which are not Uncharted, not CHR. Anyway, all of which are pretty solid. Like, they have some middling specs here and there. They still have some things they're missing. They're not like perfect, but they're pretty solid entries now. But in the grand scheme of things, you need more than a pretty solid entry to compete with China. And the reason you are not caught up to the level to compete with China is because you drug your feet for the last 5 years on developing anything to compete. You can't be surprised that you're 5 years or 6 years behind when you did it on purpose.
You
can't play the victim in a situation that is your own making.
Yes.
Because it's not like China came out of nowhere and surprised everyone.
That is true.
We've known for a long time that Chinese manufacturing and everything can't be beaten usually from a cost standpoint and like just being able to pump stuff out and things like that. And so we can't be surprised that they are killing it in the EV space and just in the overall car space, like with their range extended EVs and hybrids and everything else. Like this has been happening for a long time. Everyone should have seen this coming. And you can tell they've seen this coming because they have been fighting for a long time to keep them out of the US market.
Yes.
To keep them out of other markets or try to restrict them and things like that, because the domestic automakers, global domestic, like, European automakers, US automakers, know they cannot compete. And Toyota's right to kind of be scared and be like, oh shit, what's happening? But also they're doing the exact thing that is why they can't compete. Instead of developing and building a ground up EV that is, software defined, all the good stuff, all the buzzwords, they're building a platform that they're going to put all the powertrains in, and it's going to have to compromise in each model now to accommodate all the powertrains, and ultimately probably be a mid-range, middling, just fine appliance.
Yep.
Not anything cutting edge, not anything that's going to gain them ground, not anything that's going to advance them, just fine.
That's fine. Yep.
It's they can't get out of their own way.
They have the money to do it. I mean, it's not like we're not talking like Nissan and Mazda here. I mean, they got the money. They got the cash flow. They could have saw this coming. And what a lot of people don't understand, we talk about like, well, that's a smart move by Toyota. A lot of people, when they think of EVs and EV development, they're just so constrained to the US. They don't understand that these companies have to think globally. Yes, the US is a lot of these companies' biggest market. But when you have mandates from the EU and all that to scale back on the number of ICE vehicles that can be bought, you're going to have to push forward. BYD's coming out with cars that are cheaper, better tech, and look cooler. That's what they're doing. And whether or not you like it, and we can try all we want to keep them out of the US, we may be able to keep them out of the US, but we're just one country. Right. They're in Europe. They're in Southeast Asia. They're in Canada.
Mexico. They're in Canada.
They're in Mexico. They're in Australia. They're in these places already. It's not a US thing. It's a global thing. Yes, the US may not be going as far as EV as everyone else is, but when you're a global company, you have to think globally. And I don't think a lot of them are doing it right now. And like you said, it may help them in the short term. A lot of people we're seeing going back to hybrids, and maybe that's a stepping stone. That should have been the stepping stone 5 to 7 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, let's develop. They have great hybrid technology. The Prius is a great car for hybrids. It's great. Why not make it an EV? We've been saying this for how many years now? I've been doing this podcast for 3 years.
We should have been pushing everyone
Prius
to hybrids.
EV.
Yeah, we should have been pushing everyone to hybrids 7 years ago.
When gas spiked the first time. Yes.
So that then we could be working now to pushing all those people that you got into hybrids into range extended EVs or full electric vehicles. Instead of now, 7 years later, suddenly like, oh, we're going to push everyone to hybrids now.
Yes.
which they've been pushing for a little bit longer than that. I mean, they've got a hybrid of almost every model in their lineup now. But nonetheless, it was still within the last couple of years that they did that. And now they're doing this, and they're still pushing hybrids, while globally the world is statistically, on paper, moving on.
Yeah.
And Toyota doesn't currently have anything to put in front of the buyers that are moving on.
Yeah. And when you look at studies, of all the studies that have been done, I think it's 90%, 80 to 90% of people who drive EVs stay with EVs. It's not like they decide, you know what, I've had this Ioniq 5 now for 5 years and I love it. I think I'm going to get an Elantra. No, they don't. They usually stay with EVs. They don't go back to gas cars. They don't say, you know what, I've been driving this EV9. I love it. It's great. But you know what? I'm going to get a Pathfinder. I'm going to get a Explorer. No, they usually stay with EV, because once you get that spoiled, waking up every morning with a full tank in your car and not having to worry about anything, I mean, it's a no-brainer. But yeah, I think we beat that to a dead horse, so we'll move on.
So really, that was our last scripted topic. That was what your Wednesday mini charge episode was. You want to tell people about what we had to come out on Monday?
So Monday we got to test drive. Shout out to Call Out Evolve Auto. Once again, thank you for the new hats. And we got to check out the new FSD. It was FSD
14.3.4, which by the time the video was uploaded has been superseded. Now we're on like 14.3.5. I think
we'll have to go back
and do it again. I think I saw a mention of 14.3.6 happening on Cybertruck. So anyway, it was the latest when it was filmed, which was Saturday.
So basically what we just did is we just put a camera up and just drove. I mean, wasn't much editing, wasn't much anything. We just put the camera up, took a little 20, 30-minute drive, drove from our city to the next city over beside us in Maumelle. It was city roads. It was neighborhoods. It was interstates. It was divided highways. We kind of hit all the roads. It was roundabouts. We hit them all. And I mean, I could probably say perfect. Nothing happened. It was awesome.
The only thing it did wrong was it likes to speed.
It likes to speed. When you put it on, it's got a lead foot. It
likes to do it 5 over. And if you put it in any of the upper profiles like Hurry and Mad Max, it will do even more than 5 over.
Now, question, I was thinking about this after we did it. Do you think that's something that's going to have to be fixed if they want mass implementation of FSD? If they want NHTA, NSS, well, God, I can't. National Highway Safety Transportation Association, approved NHTSA. If they want full approval, do you think that's something they're going to have to change, where you can't set this to where it goes 15? Because it was going literally 15 to 20 over.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question. Because I mean, right now, the way it operates, it's a level 2 system. It has gotten NHTSA approval to operate in its current state. I don't think the regulations are necessarily that strict, but if they ever want to move to a level 3, level 4, level 5 system, then they will probably have to do some work on that. But for now, since it's a level 2 system, and will probably be a level 2 system on consumer cars for a long time, not to get
no matter what you hear, it's going to be, no matter what you think, it's most likely going to be level 2 for a while.
Because we keep finding that whatever hardware we're currently using or previous hardware is just not strong enough.
Yep.
I mean,
we saw a report today about what FSD Lite was released.
Yeah, so FSD Lite is finally going wide. We're keeping our eyes peeled to see if we can find a car with it. Colin doesn't have any hardware theory FSD vehicles right now, unfortunately. But, you know, I've seen reports it's already doing some buggy stuff. You know, there's already some weird stuff happening. I mean, this is the first FSD wide or FSD Lite wide release. So it's not going to be perfect. But we've also seen it's mentioned a couple times on the internet that it has, you know, turned itself off and then won't re-engage. And you go into service mode and find out it turned itself off and it says the autopilot computer is overheated. Which would indicate that it was working hard. And potentially
sounds like a 1990 compact Presario computer. That's what happened.
And so these are, again, the things that we're going to see. And at some point, it's going to come for hardware 4.
Yep.
Or if it's hardware 4.5 that Tesla says doesn't exist, but then we've seen part numbers for and has been snuck into other cars. I mean, we're seeing this now. You know, Tesla's has made the claim like, oh, hardware 4 can do it. The robo-taxis that are being launched have camera washers. The consumer hardware 4 vehicles don't. if the camera washer is necessary, which makes sense, I can understand why it would be necessary, then how are you going to fix that for consumer hardware for cars? Can you fix it?
There'll be hardware for light in 6 to 12 months.
FSD Lite 2.0 or something. I don't know.
FSD Lite hardware 4.
But anyway, all that to say though, the current iteration on hardware for 14.3.4 is what we drove. I mean, I know I've seen online, it's not perfect. That's why it's still a supervised system. But like, I was blown away in the drive that we did.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that too because I haven't had my Tesla for over a year now, and it would still do some buggy things. It would still do some phantom braking. It would still do some weird things. It would still camp out in the left lane. None of that anymore. None of that. It was flawless. It passed. It stayed where it's supposed to be. But yeah, if you want to watch our whole video, it's not very long. Want to see how it works? Check that out. That's our Monday video.
Yep. And then Wednesday was your Corolla video. Friday is today. And I don't know what we're doing next week, so stay tuned.
Who knows what next week holds for us? We'll figure it out. That we always do.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your audio enjoyment, make sure to follow us on there. Give us a quick rating, comment, whatever the platform does. They all are a little different, and I can't keep track of them. But no matter what you do, it helps the show grow. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.